Alright, so now that we've got the basics down as far as tables and lists, I'd like to implement a project that will allow us to build on both elements. This is part of a project we created for this series. It's a web developer directory that we can build on through future projects. This particular page lists developers from certain states in a tabular layout. Not only that, but we have these lists on the side that we can create. Now we have this page done in the project files. If you want to go to chapter 1, section 3, project files, you'll see there's a folder with the done page, which is this page. And in the parts folder we have the page body, and then we have the tables. Now the page body is a setup for us to begin with. I'll open that right now. And this is a basic outline of the site. So we have our HTML tags, our head, our title tag, which is find a developer, closing head, body I added some style to. Actually, why don't we open this? Actually, you know what? First thing you want to do is copy all this. Copy everything. And then let's create a new file right here. So I'm going to new text document, and let's just call this, you know what, let's just call it index.html like we did on the last project. And then we'll open that up, and then we'll paste from the page body, and then save. Now if we open that up, open it with a browser, just go to open with in whatever browser you use, and this is our page right here. So now we can work on this. So as I was saying, we have the body, we margined it out, we have a background color of blue, dark blue, color of white for the text, and the H1 is going to be our header, and the H1 is margined out, has 5 pixels of space. Background color is very dark gray, and color's white, and that's the H1 tag. Now what I have here is one thing I didn't explain in the last section was the comments. These are how comments are laid out in HTML. You have the less than sign, and then you have the exclamation, 2 dashes, and then you can write whatever you want in the comment section. And what I've done here is I have some div tags, and I like to label the start tag and the end tag, especially if we're not using IDs or classes. It's just a div tag. So this is going to be the main div. Let me just show you on the finished site. The main div is going to be everything in here, both the table column and the list. Then we have the left div, start. Everything in between here, these 2 divs, is going to be all this on the left, which is the tables. We have 2 tables. And then we have the right div, which is the lists. So what we'll do is we'll set the left div to a width, I think it's 500 or something like that, and then we have the right div, which will be, I think it's 200. And in the middle of the 2 lists we have an HR, which is a horizontal line. And you'll see all I have is comments. I just have comments in the place of where the tables and lists will go. So, and then the right div ends, and then the main div ends, and then that's the end of the document. So let's get started. So the first thing, the first thing that I want to do is add the actual content. We'll do the styling after. So just go here for a second. So first of all, the first thing that I see is the header, this Boston Developers, and that is an H4 header, I believe. Let me close this. That's an H4 heading. So I'm going to replace the comment that says heading with an H4 heading that says Boston Developers. In case you haven't noticed, I'm from Boston, from the Boston area. So the next thing we see So what I'd like to do first is to add the actual content and then add the styling. So we'll see, you can see right here we have a heading, which is this heading, Boston Developers. Then we have a table, Table 1. And then we have another heading, New Hampshire Developers. And we have another table. So that's what we're going to do first. Let's add the heading. Just replace the heading comment with the H4. Open and close, and then in the middle, Boston Developers. Okay, let's save that. Let's go to our document, reload. Actually, you know what? See this line? This HR is going to get in the way until we actually do some styling, so I'm going to remove it. Save. Alright. So, I'm going to work on the new document, but I'm going to use the finished document as a reference. So now, you know what? Let's add both headings. So this will be New Hampshire Developers, and you'll see that you'll see that our headings here. Hold on, let me just save this. Reload. These headings are smaller, and they don't look like the final projects. That's because we haven't added any styling. So don't worry about that. It's not going to look right until we actually add the style, because the style is what makes the web page. Alright, so we have Table 1 and Table 2. Now, if you go into the parts folder, you'll find a file called tables.html. Let's open that up. And there's two tables here. We actually have the headings there too. We don't want to grab the headings, we just want the table. So let's just copy the first table, start tag to end tag, and replace the Table 1 comment. Now I'm going to explain the table syntax a little bit, because it's a little more than what we discussed earlier on the PowerPoint. So we have a opening table tag, and I have a border of 1. Actually, let me save this and show you. And this is what the table looks like. And it has a border of 1. Now, in the PowerPoint, I didn't explain that the head, body, footer tags of the table. We have a head tag, a T head tag, and then we have, just like any other row, we have TR, which is the row, but then we have the TH, which stands for table heading. If you're using a heading, you use TH instead of TD, and you'll see over here the heading is more prominent and it's centered, and that's default styling in Google Chrome. And you can also have a footer. And one thing that messes some people up sometimes is that if you have a footer, you have to add it right under the head. You can't add it at the bottom like you would think. So if we would have a footer, we would have to, let me just copy this so I can, we would have to have T foot right here, which can be extremely confusing, because you have, after the T head, you have the T body, and you would think that the foot would go under the body, but it doesn't. It has to go there. So I'll just save that, and we'll reload, and you'll see the footer is also styled like the header. So what I'd like to do now is add some content. We should add the content first and then the styling. So if we go to the page that we're creating, you'll actually see this long, ugly line across the screen. This is actually this line right here, this horizontal line. So I'm actually going to remove that for now. I'm just going to delete the HR tag and save, and now that line's gone. So let's start adding some content. And what I've done, as I said, everything's in comments, so I'm just going to replace the comments with the actual code. So you'll see the first thing we have is the heading. In this heading, I'm gonna transfer back and forth between these two pages, the finished one and the one we're working on, just so we can use this as a reference. So we have Boston Developers is the heading, and that's an H4 tag. So we're going to replace the comment with the H4 tag, and in the middle we're going to write Boston Developers, and save that, reload. Now you'll see it's not the same size of the final page because we haven't added any style yet. So don't pay attention to anything like that, because it's not going to look right until we add the style. And what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to add the next heading, which is another H4 tag, and it's New Hampshire Developers. Save that. We reload, we'll see that heading. Now I want to get the tables. Now what I've done is I've added the tables into a separate file so that you can grab it, because there's a lot of typing here. I'm not going to type out all of this. So I'm going to grab the, let's see, and it's in this folder, the parts folder. You'll see a file called tables.html. And I have table 1 is labeled with a comment, and then you scroll down and we have table 2. Table 1's Boston, table 2 is New Hampshire. Alright, so now we're just going to grab the entire thing, copy it from the first table tag to the last one, and copy. And then we're going to paste that, and we're going to replace the comment that says table 1. And then we'll save, reload, and here you'll see the table. Now I've given this a border of 1 just so we can separate each cell, and we actually have something that wasn't on the PowerPoint, which is we're using a T-head tag and a T-body tag. And what the head does is makes the text of the heading more prominent, and it also centers the text on the Chrome browser. It's going to be similar no matter what browser you use, but that's if you want to use a heading. You don't have to. And then instead of the TD, the table data tags, we have the TH for table heading. And then if you're going to use a heading, then you're most likely going to use a body, so we have T-body next. And then we just wrap everything else in the T-body that's not in the heading. And this is all what we discussed in the PowerPoint: the table rows, table data, table cells, columns, sorry, whatever you want to call them. So that's the first table. Now let's go back and get the next table. Copy that and scroll down, paste it right here, paste. Okay, now I'm going to save, Control S, and we have the next table. So you can see we're getting there. Now what I'd like to do is add the lists. So we actually have two lists over here. We have an ordered list, which has the numbers, and then we have an unordered list, which has bullets. I actually don't have the lists in a file, but I'm gonna put them in a file before I finish the series, so you'll have them. So just go into the list.html and just copy and paste. I'm just gonna get it from the finished file. So you would have a file called lists.html. I'm just gonna go to the finished file and grab them. Yeah, okay. So we get the order. I'm just going to grab everything. The head, both headings, both lists. Copy. Paste. Okay, now I'm going to save. Control S. Reload. And you'll see we have the list down here. Now remember we haven't added any styling, so we don't have any floats. Here the lists are floated. The right div is floated to the right. So anything we put in here, any code we write that's not styled, it's just going to go straight down. And that looks like we have all the content. Let me just double check with the done file. And you'll see we have styling in the finish file, which we're going to add now if I got it all. And it looks like I did. Alright. Let me get rid of this. Alright, so one thing I want to mention is we're gonna style this, but I want to mention in this tutorial we're gonna use an inline div style, just like this, the body and the head. And that's not the optimal way to do it. I'm just doing this for the sake of simplicity for this tutorial. In the next chapter, when we really dig into CSS, we're going to start using classes and IDs and we're going to have an external style sheet. This isn't the way you would want to do it. It's just it looks messier, but it's easier to understand to explain. So bear with me if it looks a little messy. So the first thing, we have the body and the heading styled. Now I'm going to style the main div, and the main div is just going to have a width value. So we're just going to do style equals width, and the width is going to be 730 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to save, reload, and you'll see the line shortened. The line reaches out to 730 pixels that we just defined. So this is the main div right now. Now the next thing we want to style is the next div, which is the left div. So like I said, we're going to use inline style. The next chapter we'll be doing, class equals left div, and then we'll create a style sheet. But we're not going to do that right yet. So we're just going to do style. Now what do we want for style for the left div? Let me see. Okay, this is the left div right here, and we want to create a width of 500 pixels. And bear with my typing. I probably have the typing of a 6th grader. Alright, so we have the 500 pixels, and obviously we want to float it because we want this left div on the left, so we want to do a float left. And let me just save this and see what it looks like. So you'll see it's taking shape where it's floated. We get the width down. Now the next thing I want to do is add some padding. And it doesn't look like we need padding yet right here, but we will. I'm going to add a little spacing between the left and right divs. I'm going to put 20 pixels between there. So I'm going to do padding right 20 pixels. Save, reload, and you'll see it pushed over a little bit. Okay, so next, let me just check. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to get rid of this border one for now. I'm going to give both tables a width of 500. So if you're using inline like this, we're not using style, we're using pure HTML to do this, so it's just width equals 500. We don't even need to add pixels. So save, And you'll see for now we have no border. The reason I took the HTML border off is I'm going to use CSS for the border. So I'm also going to do this to the next table. So I'll just copy this, go to the next table, and just do the same thing. Okay, save. Now I'll reload, and we can see that the table is stretched out more. Okay, next, let's see. Next, I'm actually going to add the borders now. Now, let me try to explain this. We don't want to just put a border. If we just put a style border here for just the table, what we're going to get is just one border around the whole thing. We want to add a border to the data, the table data, and we don't want it all the way around because that'll just look horrible. So what I want to do is add just a bottom border to each TD cell. So under each name here, in the city and the skills, we'll have a border. And since I want to put a border on the TD, now if we're going to do this how we've been doing it and do style border, I'm going to have to do every single tag. I'm going to have to do the style to all of these. So I'm going to show you a different way to do this. I'm going to add a style tag in the head. So we just want to do style and then add a closing style tag. And in this area we can define all our CSS. This is the same idea as if we were used to an external style sheet. So if we have classes and IDs, we can actually style them up here. Now what I'm going to style is the TD. So I'm going to indent, and I'm just going to write TD, and then open curly braces, close curly braces. Now in between here we can define anything to style the TD. So if I want to do, let's just say color black, this should change the text color. You'll see all the TD, all the table data is now black. Now we don't want it to be black, so I'm going to save that. Now what we want to add here is a border, and we don't want to just do border because that'll do all around the table data. We want to do border bottom. Now I'm going to do the shorthand here. Remember I talked about this in an earlier tutorial. We can just add the pixels. Let me just show you. I'll just actually, you know what? Yeah. I don't want to take up too much time for this video. So we're going to put the width of the border, which is 1 pixel we want, and I'm going to put the type, which is going to be dashed. Now we could have solid, dotted, there's a couple others, but we're going to have a 1 pixel dashed border, and it's going to be white, which is hexadecimal 6Fs. Okay, now I'm going to save, go over here and reload, and there's our borders. Now this looks a little squished here. If you look at our final page, we have more space, so we're going to put some padding. We're just going to do padding 5 pixels around everything. I mean around the entire TD. So we'll save, and there's the spacing. Looks a lot better. Just that simple little line, you know, it makes it look a lot better. Alright, so let's look at our final page, and we'll notice that the heading, the H4, actually, you know what? We said H4 here. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be H3. So let's change the H4s to H3. You know what it is these over here, I think, yeah, they're H4s. So we want to change the Boston and the New Hampshire headings to H3. Save, reload, and now they're bigger. But they're still different. We want to have this background color, and we want the padding. So I'm going to do the same thing that I just did for the TD tags, but I'm going to do it for the H3. So I'm going to go back up into the style block, and I'm just going to put H3, open, close curly braces, and we're going to add a background color of 2658A9, 8A9, and save, reload. Well, I don't know what just happened. Huh. What? 1 second. Whoop. Alright, sorry about that. Let's move this over here. Alright. So save that, reload, and now we have the background color, but we need the padding. You'll see we got padding on this. So we're just going to... Actually, wait a minute. Did I add the padding? Oh, this is the... Alright, so we're just going to add 5 pixels padding. Save, reload. And now we have the padding. So you'll see our tables have taken shape. Alright, so next we have the right div along with the lists inside that div. So we're going to go down to right div start, and we want to, first thing we want to do is set a width. Okay, so we're going to use CSS, we're going to do style, width, and we're going to say 180 pixels, and then we're going to float it. Obviously we're going to float it to the right, and let's save that and take a look. We've got the parentheses, save, and you'll see now it's nice and neat. So we're just about there. The next thing we want to do for the right div is we want to add some padding. Actually, let me do the background color. We're going to get this black, this dark gray color. So in the same div, we want to do background. I also should mention that in the first section, I showed you the background color property. Background color. This is the dark green, the 333. Save, reload, and you'll see the background. Now we don't need to use this color word. We don't need that, which I usually do not use. We can just have background. Save, and it's the same thing. So saves you a little bit of typing. And what do we want to do now? Now we want a little padding in here, because see, you can see the headings are flush up against the edge. We don't want that, so we're going to add padding. And actually, we want padding on the right and the left, but not the top and the bottom, because that has enough space. So we could do padding right. We could do this, padding right 10, padding left 10. But we're going to do the shorthand. And the shorthand, we're just going to do just padding, and then let me see if I can remember the order. It's top, right, bottom, left. So any of these, we want to do just the right and the left. So this is the top, this is the right. So I'm going to style this, what was it, 10? Yeah, 10 pixels on the right. That's bottom. This is left. 10 pixels on the left. Put the semicolon. Alright, so, oh, actually, hold on, I got an error here. I get the... Sorry about that. Okay, save. Let's reload. We should have some padding on the sides. Alright, so the final thing we want to do to this div is give it a top margin. We don't want it connected to the header like that. So we want to bring it down. So we want to do a margin top, and we want to do 20 pixels. Okay, save, reload. Now we have that pushed down. I think that's it. I think we're there. Yeah, yep, same exact thing. So that's tables and lists and some CSS. Next chapter we'll be getting into one second. We're going to be getting into HTML forms and input on the next video. So stay tuned.